Hey everyone, my name is Brendan and welcome back to the Crypto Analyst channel. And over the course of the last 5 years or so, I've had the great pleasure of making over 550 cryptocurrency related videos. And the only reason that I say that is because today I think this is going to be one of the craziest videos that I've ever had to make. We haven't seen this kind of volatility or wildness in the crypto world in almost 5 years. And the last time that we saw a major top 10 or top 20 crypto market cap go to nearly $0 was back in 2018 when BitConnect fell. And I don't want to draw too many comparisons between Luna and UST and BitConnect because they're different cryptos, but the comparison that I want to make here is that these were top 10 and top 20 cryptos that went from leading the space to $0. And the impact and the effect that that has on the space is something that we have seen a little bit before. Now, granted, the market cap of Terra Luna and UST is significantly larger than BitConnect ever was. I believe BitConnect at its peak was just over $1 billion in market cap, and Terra Luna alone was over $30 billion in market cap at its peak. So definitely two very different coins in how they operated and how big they were, but nonetheless, by market cap, I mean by position and rankings, these are some of the largest leaders that have almost just disappeared off the charts. And I also want to talk about a lot of the FUD and the fear and uncertainty and doubt that's happening in the crypto space, because there's a lot of rumors that are just floating around that simply just aren't true, or people are getting peer pressured into thinking it's a lot worse than it really is. And I want to talk about the general health of the market as a whole as well, because if we go over to the Bitcoin chart, Bitcoin fell down to, I believe, almost $25,000. And since then, it is on a pretty nice recovery. Now, is this the bottom? We're going to talk about that in today's video. But let's get into some of the news first and I guess talk about what's happening over here. Because with this downturn that we have seen in Terra and UST drastically falling over the course of this last week, they actually halted and froze their blockchain or their ecosystem. And so no one could make withdrawals, no one could make transfers, and that's why you saw major exchanges like Binance start delisting Terra Luna, is because if they were freezing the accounts and it was going to zero and they weren't letting people trade it and transact it, you know, it's not a crypto that some exchanges want to have anymore. And so while a lot of exchanges have not delisted it yet, apparently the Terra Luna blockchain is back online. And so following a 9-hour halt, people are able to now make transactions on Terra again. Now, beyond this, Bitcoin looks like it's holding above $30,000. This is a pretty cool article over here by CoinDesk. Now, the reason that we bring this up is because Bitcoin, in the heart of all this, crypto holders didn't know what to do. They didn't feel safe in stablecoins, they didn't feel safe in Bitcoin, and they didn't feel safe in altcoins. So what happened was almost the entire crypto market fell drastically. I mean, Bitcoin fell after it broke out of its channel, almost another 30% down to the downside. Now, since then, Bitcoin has recovered, and I want to measure this out. Bitcoin has already recovered almost 19% back to the upside, as well as Ethereum as well. But one of the things that we have to note is that over on the total 2 chart, which is just the representation of the entire altcoin market cap, we can really see where the damage of Terra Luna and UST has been done. This took quite the hit. At its peak, the entire altcoin market cap was around a 1.7 trillion, and now we're around a 0.7 trillion. So it lost about $1 trillion in market cap, and this wasn't all because of Terra Luna, but you can see when the Terra Luna dump started happening because of the massive red candles that the total 2 saw. Now let's talk about all the FUD that's happening in the world of cryptocurrency. We have Coinbase saying that they're going to liquidate funds and that they're about to get bankrupt, and USDT Tether is going to be the next stablecoin to depeg because it's just the same as Terra Luna, their Terra Luna's counterpart UST, and everything is imminently about to crash, right? I mean, it's laughable, but there's a whole lot of FUD happening right now because this is the thing that's going to get views. This is how news places are going to clickbait, and this is the kind of stuff that people are going to read and watch videos on. In reality, this is just a legal disclaimer from Coinbase saying that in a case of bankruptcy, your assets could be getting liquidated. Now, if you don't think that nearly every other exchange and platform that you use is going to do the exact same thing, then you're crazy. I mean, it's happened before with Mt. Gox and other places that have lost their funds and they've had to file for bankruptcy. No matter where you are trading, if the place goes bankrupt, the odds that you're going to get your funds out of a place that's bankrupt and lost everything is very, very low. And this is not Coinbase saying that they're going bankrupt. This is a legal disclaimer that they have added and that they've made public, like every other exchange has almost. But for whatever reason right now, it's getting this kind of attention because of the craziness that's happening in crypto. The other thing that I have seen is that USDT, which is Tether, is the next cryptocurrency that's going to depeg. It's the next stablecoin that's about to go down. What people don't understand is that UST, Terra Luna's native stablecoin, was one of the first movers in algorithmic-based stablecoins. And USDC and USDT, which is Tether and Coinbase's stablecoin, are very different from UST. They are backed with almost a $1-to-1 backing of whatever their stablecoin is. So this means if they were to have $30 trillion in market cap, they are supposed to have $30 trillion in cash or cash equivalents. And what I'll do is I'll link this in the description down below, but you're able to go through and read this yourself and see the difference between Tether, USDC, and UST, and how UST was arguably the least safe, the least backed, and the least collateralized of all of these different stablecoins. Now, recently, UST was trying to say that they were building a large portfolio of Bitcoin so that they could have a cash backing and reserve for their UST token and their stablecoin, but they never quite got to the same level that USDC or USDT was. And the reason that I say this is because if we were to go over to something like the USDT chart to USD, we can see that just the other day, guess what? Tether had a pretty sharp downfall, right? I mean, it fell all the way down to 95 cents, and everyone was freaking out saying Tether's going to be the next one. But what they don't understand is that this was a $3 trillion sell order on Tether. And guess where Tether's at right now? We're at 99.8 cents or 99.9 cents just a day later. And while this happened, this was just a liquidity issue. It wasn't a capital issue. It wasn't that Tether doesn't have the money. This was a $3 trillion sell order. And I believe it happened on Binance. I could be wrong. But this was a $3 trillion sell order that Tether said, no problem, we have the money for it. Hours later, it's back trading at within 0.1 cent of a dollar. So let it be known, and I think what everyone needs to do is actually learn what's happening on these native stablecoins and how different they are from each other, because just because one stablecoin is also another stablecoin, you know, they don't act the same. Maybe that was a bad analogy, but just because there's multiple stablecoins out there, it does not mean that they are all fundamentally the same on the back end, and you have to make sure that you understand what the differences are, because the differences often include the flaws, and the flaws are where people capitalize on. People tried to do exactly what they did with UST to Tether, and it didn't work. And granted, they used more money. From my understanding, the $3 trillion attack on Tether was significantly larger than what initially attacked UST, and it failed on Tether. So you're going to need at least over $3 trillion to be able to impact Tether like that. And Tether's already back at $1. So maybe you need 30 trillion. Maybe you need 300 trillion. You know, we don't know, because we are yet to see a place where Tether, over the course of its history, has ever depegged for a real amount of time. And as I zoom out over here, you can see that temporarily, stablecoins can depeg for a very short amount of time. And this is, again, due to liquidity and not due to the actual stability of the coin itself. Meaning, you only have so much on the order book. And if that breaks, they come through and they add more and then they restabilize the coin. But this is just the immediate order book, and sometimes slippage happens, hence why we see stablecoins sometimes go below exactly $1 or 99 cents or something like that. Now let's talk about crypto as a whole. Has crypto bottomed over here? Well, in short, I think the answer is, we don't know. I think it's way too early to say. We just had our first green candle, our first real wick of a bounce happening, and we're not even 24 hours out of that yet. And so until we get at least a couple more days, a couple more candles of information. We really don't know. I think it's a long shot to say that we're gonna bottom out on the first bounce. Historically, I think that that's just not accurate. I think what's very likely is that we come up and maybe retest. If anything, we come up and we retest previous support now turned to resistance, reject that area, and then maybe fall further. I mean, we could not even reach these areas. I mean, technically, we're already reaching this area right now, but there's a very good chance that crypto wants to hover around below 30,000 or around this $30,000 area for quite some time. The possibility that Bitcoin sees an extended period of consolidation where capitulation occurs is a pretty high probability, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a time of shakeout. It's going to be a time of boringness. And when it's not boring, there are going to be these sharp downturns. And the upturns that we see, I don't think are going to be quite volatile until we know that the bottom is officially in. So it's going to be quite the crazy time for cryptocurrency. But we get to talk about this a lot over at Crypt Nation. And so if you want to join the Crypt Nation team, I have a link to that in the description down below. And you can go ahead and join us over in the crew over there. And we talk about crypto and study crypto every single week. And we have a lot of cool content that you get access to in the community as well. But this is what's happening over here with crypto. And I guess the last thing that I missed is going back to the idea of Luna and UST. Galaxy Digital, led by Mike Novogratz, they had a pretty decent sized position in Luna. They were big backers of Luna. They were very big fans. And they actually had a quarter-to-date loss of over $300 million. So we're seeing a reflection of this all across the board. I mean, even things like Nasdaq are down, and we've looked at this in the past and talking about how Nasdaq has broken support. While Nasdaq is green on the day, I mean, the stock market's down, cryptos are down. I even saw precious metals falling, which are supposed to be the thing that are going up right now. So it's just wild. The DXY, which represents the dollar, we've talked about that as well. That guy has been soaring and breaking out to nearly 20-year highs. I mean, the last time that the DXY was at this level was all the way back at 2020, or excuse me, not 2020, 2002. So just wild times across the board. But I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We have a lot more content like this coming out. Of course, if you have any questions, ask me those. If you're in Crypt Nation, you can ask that in Crypt Nation, or you can ask it in the comment section down below, and I'm happy to get back to all of you and answer whatever kind of questions that you had. But until next time, I will see you all in next week's video.